What did you think of Chamberlain and his policy of appeasing Hitler?
Which
Chamberlain and his policy of appeasing Hitler. What do you think of him?
He probably did a very good thing, because at least it gave us a chance to build up the Air Force for another year. Because at that time, if Germany had launched their attack, at that time, well, it was bad enough as it was, but I think we could have lost the war. If Germany had used their common sense, we would have lost it. I mean, if they had come across after Dunkirk, we couldn't have stopped them. There was nothing to stop them.
I said I had spoken to someone who was at Dunkirk. After Dunkirk, he was put in this. They were called an anti-tank unit. Yeah. The only thing is, all they had was one anti-tank rifle, and it would have been of no use against a Bren gun carrier, let alone a tank.
The PIAT gun that they gave us was a huge thing, about this big. To cock it, you had to get it on the ground and cock it. Then you put this 2-pound bomb in it, and you had to wait until the German tank got within 30 to 40 yards of it, so you got one shot. If you missed it, you knew you were dead. In fact, I've told this story a few times, haven't I, about the first time we were introduced to it on the Salisbury Plain. They took us down to show us this new tank weapon. So we all toodled down, we were behind sandbags. And this lad was a corporal who was with the PIAT. Number 2 puts the PIAT bomb in. Fire! And it fell out smoking in front. The kind of what this lad said, he said, I turned round to say, what do I do now? He said, you devils were 50 yards away running like hell. And what it was a faulty bomb. They didn't usually drop out like that. They usually, but they have knocked out tanks and did damage, but against heavier German tanks, you may as well use the people for.
Was 30 metres too close to
Well, if the Germans could see you, you were dead. The best time to use them was at night time.
So when you were training, how long did your training last when you first joined up?
From
when you first joined up?
From October, I was in the depot. I left the depot in January to the Irish Fusiliers, and we were doing exercises all over the place there with them. And I joined the Ulster Rifles in May of 43, and then the real exercises started commencing, and I had a rude awakening there with the Ulster Rifles. We went on the Salisbury Plain with 2 2-inch mortars. A young officer in command of our platoon, Lieutenant Arthur Bissett, a Saturday morning it was. One mortar was there, and me and another lad were on a second 2-inch mortar. And all of a sudden this lad shouts, it won't fire, sir, something's wrong with it. I've pulled the pin. And Lieutenant Bissett went over, and he set the mortar down, and he looked at it. And he said, oh, we'll try it again. And he leaned over and put it down, it went straight off. Hit him in the face, killed him instantly. His brains were scattered all over the place. And what had happened was, it was a faulty pin. When it first time it didn't fire and he'd pulled the doings out, the lad had pulled the pin and it shot up then, so it was in a firing position. And he put he broke every rule in the book. He leaned over it, over a armed weapon, and it hit him straight in the face. And as Major Vickery asked all of us, he said, "What happened to the bomb?" He said, "Because if the bomb had exploded, you were all dead, because you were all underneath it." And as it turned out, it was his human flesh must have been so soft that it wasn't hard enough to explode the bomb, with the fuses in the front of them. But that was a rude awakening, was that. And it was always with live ammunition, all the exercises.
So this is when you joined the Airborne Forces, it began with live ammunition then?
Yeah. Oh yes, mostly, especially throwing hand grenades, and you learned a 7-second fuse that you put in, like a little U-shape. You took off the grenade, put this fuse in, tightened it, and it was a 4-second fuse that was for battle. 7-second fuse was for training purposes. So that meant from the time you released the pin, you had 7 seconds, but with in action, the time your finger left that lever, you had 4 seconds. So by the time it landed where it was meant to land, it would explode straight away.
There's an old phrase, 5-second fuses only last 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
So what kind of weapons did you train with once you joined up?
I had, with Bren guns, I had a 303 rifle, and I had a 9mm pistol. A lot of the lads had, the Sten guns were very erratic. We even issued us with a silencer. There was 1 silencer issued for every 5 Sten guns.
Was a Sten a machine gun?
Yeah. It was a automatic, fired 9mm ammunition, and it was 25 rounds, I think, the magazine held. The Bren gun was probably the best light automatic weapon of the war. It held 30 rounds, and was very good. It was gas, the little gas thing there, so that the shell exploded, the gas would force it back. Sometimes that got a little bit faulty and you had to switch it round, but usually it was a very, very good weapon.
So on the whole, were the weapons you were training with quite reliable, would you say?
Yes, but the Germans were better. The German Smiser, which was a submachine gun, was far superior to our Sten gun. And the Spandu, light machine gun, fired 300 rounds a minute. It was very, very fast. It was superior to anything we had. So those were 2 weapons where they were superior, and their tanks were far superior to anything we had.
What tanks were you with?
We had Shermans, Churchills, mostly Shermans, who all nicknamed them the Tommy Cooker. The Germans nicknamed them that, the Tommy Cooker, because when they were hit, they burst into flames. And you find a lot in a lot of cemeteries in France and Germany, 3 or 4 men in one grave. Well, they were usually tank crews that were all killed together.